guys, I'm Danielle from Eat & Mess, and today I'm going to show you how to crumb coat your cake and cover it in buttercream. Okay, so we've got our cake that is now nice and chilled. So firm to touch, it's not going to move anywhere, which is great. So I've whipped the buttercream up again so it's nice and loose. I've made it really loose actually with a bit more water, and I've added some whitener to it. So this colour mill here is the best thing to whiten buttercream with. It's oil based, must be shaken properly before putting in the buttercream, but really makes the buttercream nice and velvety and smooth and really crystal clear white without any graininess or weirdness. So it's a great one to use. Good for colouring chocolate. It's an all-round great thing. Now, what we're going to do is give it a good little whip. So in the KitchenAid, it creates air bubbles, and this isn't great when putting on cakes. So we are going to give it a good mix. Right, that is lovely and smooth. And from here you can tell as well if you need to whip it anymore. So I can tell from here it's a nice consistency, lovely and smooth. I don't need to whip it anymore. We have got our cake on our turntable, nice and set. Our buttercream ready and all smooth. We've got our junk jar ready. We have got an angled palette knife. And then we also have our two scrapers, our medium and our small ones, okay? When we're scraping, we're using this straight edge here, okay? Not the curved one. So we're going to need both of these. We're going to pop those to one side for a minute. We've also got a little dusting brush for any crumbs that are left over. So I'm just going to quickly go over it just once more for any crumbage. We don't want that in our buttercream. So this is actually how to crumb coat a cake, so before you apply any further covering. But also this is also called a semi-naked covering of the cake. If you're crumb coating it, you don't need to colour it white because no one's going to see it. But if you're doing semi-naked, it's always good to colour it white, because what's going to happen is you can put it on the cake and then it's going to start settling to room temperature. Now butter has a natural yellow tendency, so this will come out as the cake rests. So it's actually better, if you're doing semi-naked, colour it white. It's much nicer appearance. It won't turn sort of an off yellow colour, which is not really ideal when you're doing wedding cakes and things like that. We're going to dollop it on top. There are many different ways of doing this. This is just how I find is best to do it. You can find what's best for you. Let's pop this on top, like so. Now we're going to use this to smooth it around. The cake's nice and firm, so we can kind of be a bit more vicious with it, throw it around a bit. So we're going to put a nice thick layer. Always good to do thick, and we can always take it off, especially when you're doing semi-naked, because you don't want any loose crumbs in that buttercream. So this is just good practice to do. Right, now this is quite thick. I'm going to start taking it down now. So the higher the angle of this, the more you take off, okay? And then with my other hand, I'm working in this direction. I just find it works for me. Obviously different people, if you're left-handed, work in different directions. I find pushing the cake stand away from me works best, okay? And we're just turning it, just going deeper and deeper and deeper. You can just slightly see the cake through. You're not pulling up any crumbs, okay? Just double check when you're putting this back into the bowl you're originally using, there's no crumbs on there, just in case. If it has got crumbs, that's what your junk jar's for, okay? To get rid of any of the ones that have got crumbs on it. Next, we're going to smooth the edges down. Crumbs will fall to the board, it does happen, okay? So what I usually do is just smooth off the edges, like that. And this has got a bit of crumbage in it, so I'm going to put this in my junk jar. We're going to now cover the sides. So what I usually do is pour the buttercream to the side of my bowl. Just makes it a little bit easier. Take a good section, nothing too major, but kind of that amount. And I'm going to start from the top, working in a backwards and forwards motion. This backward and forwards motion gets rid of any air bubbles in the buttercream that are left over. The whipping obviously before helps, but this just guarantees it. So I'm just going to bulk it out, backwards and forwards around the cake until it's covered at the top. Nice and thick, don't want to go too thin again, because we're going to try and create a semi-naked covering as well, so no crumbs in the buttercream. Now I'm going to go in 3 parts, going down, going round, a bit, like literally a small amount, nothing major, on here, back and forth. Don't go too crazy in the base here. Just again, backwards and forwards motion on the cake, going round. Make this nice and clean. So we're going to go scraping around it now. So obviously make sure we're using the straight edge, not the rounded edge. We're going to scrape at a 45-degree angle all the way around the cake. First of all, we're going to get rid of the excess. So we're going to put sort of a light pressure. And as we get further down towards the cake, we're going to put with a slightly more pressure. So again, we put our hand here and move our turntable as we have our scraper here. I don't do 45 at first. I do a slight angle and I get my bottom part of the cake where I want it to. So as deep down to the cake as I want it to. So I'm gonna go a bit further so I can see the cake. Keep on going, keep on going. So before I put this back in the jar, just make sure that there's no crumbs in it. So we're just gonna scoot off any excess into there. So I'm gonna go a bit further. Okay, so I can see now I'm starting to get towards the base of the cake. So I'm gonna go, be careful now. So I'm going a little bit slower. So I'm just starting to pick up some of the cake. I'll be very, very careful. If you find your buttercream is a little bit too stiff and it's really dragging out the buttercream, run your scraper under hot water. It helps massively. And it gives you a really, so here we go, look, so you can see it's starting to come through. That's what we want for a semi-naked and for a crumb coat. A crumb coat should be a very, very thin layer, as thin as you can go. That is awesome. Right, okay, it's almost there. So there's no crumbs, actually there's a bit of crumbs in there. I'm gonna put this into my junk jar. So I kind of do a two-step process here. So let's clean this down a little bit. Nice. Right, I'm gonna get rid of this top edge. So just gonna pull it off like that. Pull it off, turn it, pull it off, pull it off, pull it off. Okay, cool. Right, we're going to do this process again. We're going to flatten off the top edge like this. Go really deep, go really, really low until you get down to the crumb. Now we're going to pull this lip up. So if you do this really slowly, it can drag, okay? So it's got to do it quite quickly. So literally, just spin it around like that. It just pulls it up really quickly. So now we're going to go in with our smoothing coat, like our finishing coat, to make it nice and smooth. So pull your hand, start it around here, and I'm literally just going to slowly, 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 with like a light pressure, nothing too major. You could kind of scrape to as much as you want to scrape. Just want to make it nice and smooth. Usually I'd run this under hot water to get rid of any sort of residue, and it makes a nice smooth coat. But I'm just going to grab a bit of a blue wipe and just wipe it down, just so it's nice and clean. And I haven't got any sort of like dry buttercream on there, dragging any buttercream up. So we can start again. So we're going to start with my hand this side, cake scraper this side. I'm going to pull this round and round and round and round till you get to the end. We could leave it like this. We call this a raw edge, and that is a really, really nice raw edge, but I'm going to show you how to finish it off on the top. So you want to hold this flat on top and drag it, okay? Go across. I'm going to probably do this 2 times round. Don't go too deep, just pull it flat and across the cake, okay? And scrape in between each one. Okay, cool. So what I'll probably do is scrape this off. This is really important that you're constantly scraping and keeping these tools really clean, because like I said before, buttercream oxidizes and goes crusty. So if you use that crusty buttercream and start dragging it against the cake, you're just going to start pulling it up all unevenly. So it's not great. So we're going to go in a little bit deeper just so it's nice and flat. There are other methods of doing this, but I find this the best, most easy and quick and efficient. The next bit is actually really important because I hate mucky boards. There is all this rubbish buttercream at the bottom. So we're going to use this and go around, just get quite close to the cake and literally just scrape it out, scrape any excess off the board. But you still have a residue on the board. So what I do is get a food grade wipe and I use it to wipe the board. This is really important because my biggest bugbear is when you see boards and they're messy. You spend all this time on the cake and you haven't cleaned the board. It's like a really important part. It's a lovely board. So I go around it. First of all, just getting rid of any rubbish on the board first of all. Go around it, around the whole board. Now I get close to the cake. So what I usually do is kind of fold it to a point, kind of like this, and get my finger on there, and I get right close to the cake. So just go around it. You're not even going to touch the cake, you're just skimming any excess buttercream. So that is it. It's nice and clean, pretty. You can see the cake slightly through it. Yeah, amazing. And you can use that as a base to put a colour on top. So this is your crumb coat, or you can use it as a semi-naked base and put a little drip on it, some flowers, whatever you fancy. Good luck.